The cream-colored envelope slid across the mahogany table with practiced grace, but I caught the slight tremor in Emily's manicured hand. That tiny shake told me everything I needed to know. My mother-in-law was enjoying this moment far too much. My name is Louisa, and after 7 years of marriage into the Fernandez family, I've learned to read between the lines of every thoughtful gesture. A luxury anniversary cruise, Emily announced, her voice dripping honey. 10 days in the Mediterranean. Harrison, darling, you and your wife must be thrilled. I watched my husband's face carefully as he opened the envelope. His expression remained neutral, practiced. Thank you, Mother. This is generous. The dining room of their mansion felt suffocating, despite the high ceilings and expensive art. I reached for the cruise documents, noting how Harrison's fingers tightened slightly before releasing them. That's when I saw it. Or rather, didn't see it. The booking is only in Harrison's name, I said quietly, flipping through the papers. The cabin reservation, the dining arrangements, even the shore excursions, all listed under Mr. Harrison Fernandez. Emily's smile widened fractionally. Oh? Must be a clerical error. Though really, dear, does it matter? You'll be together anyway. I felt Harrison's Aunt Christine shift uncomfortably in her chair. She knew. They all knew. It's fine, Harrison cut in before I could respond. We can sort it out when we board. But he didn't meet my eyes. I smiled, the kind of smile I'd perfected over years of similar oversights. Of course. Thank you, Emily. It's a wonderful gift. Later that night in our bedroom, I carefully hung up the designer dress I'd worn to dinner. Harrison was in his study, as usual, probably texting his assistant Talia about some urgent work matter. My phone buzzed. A text from Wallace, my lawyer. Documents received. Timing works perfectly with maritime jurisdiction. Are you sure about this? I typed back, absolutely. 7 years of being erased is enough. They won't see it coming, Wallace replied. Not on their precious cruise. I walked to my closet, pushed aside the row of expensive clothes Harrison's family had chosen for me, and pulled out the false bottom I'd installed months ago. Inside lay a manila envelope stuffed with bank statements, email printouts, photos, and a burner phone. 7 months of evidence, carefully collected while playing the perfect wife. Another buzz from Wallace. Remember, once we serve papers in international waters, they're trapped. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide assets. Your mother-in-law's gift just gave us the perfect stage. I touched the cruise documents on my dresser. Emily had orchestrated this final slight thinking it would break me. Instead, she'd handed me exactly what I needed, a captive audience for what was coming. My phone lit up with a message from Harrison. Working late. Don't wait up. I texted back, of course, honey. Love you. Then I opened my laptop and double-checked my private email. The confirmation from the private investigator was there, along with fresh photos of Harrison and Talia entering a hotel yesterday afternoon. The bedroom door opened, and I quickly switched screens. Harrison walked in, loosening his tie. Mother wants us to have brunch tomorrow to discuss the cruise details. Wouldn't miss it, I said, closing my laptop. Though I should probably check if I can even board, since my name isn't on anything. He sighed that familiar sigh, the one that said I was being difficult. You're making something out of nothing. Again. I watched him walk into the bathroom, remembering how he'd used the same dismissive tone when Emily forgot my birthday last year, and when she told everyone at Christmas that my dress was inappropriate after she'd bought it for me herself, and when she changed our anniversary dinner reservations to exclude me, claiming there must have been a mix-up with the names. You're right, I called out, my voice sweet. I'm sure it's nothing. I pulled out my phone and sent one final text to Wallace. Start the countdown. 3 weeks until the cruise. Time to make them remember my name. In the bathroom, I heard Harrison on his phone, speaking quietly, probably telling Talia good night. I opened the cruise brochure, studying the layout of the ship that would become my stage. The grand dining hall looked perfect for what I had planned. 7 years of being the good wife who just follows along. 7 years of swallowing my pride while they erased me piece by piece. But they forgot one thing. The quietest person in the room is the one who hears everything. And I've heard enough to burn their perfect world to the ground. The cruise ship loomed above us like a floating city, all gleaming white steel and endless rows of balconies. Emily practically glided through check-in, dropping the family name every chance she got. "We're the Fernandez party," she announced to the 4th staff member in 10 minutes. "The owner's suite." Her eyes flickered to me. "And this is Harrison's wife." The porter's smile wavered slightly as he checked his tablet. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm only showing Mr. Harrison as the registered guest for that suite." "Oh dear, another clerical error?" Emily's concern was theatrical. "Harrison, darling, sort this out." I watched my husband step forward, credit card ready, while I stood back with our luggage. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Wallace checking in. I'd have to wait to respond. "All fixed," Harrison announced minutes later, handing me a keycard. "Though you really should have brought this up before we boarded." I smiled apologetically. "You're right. Silly me." That evening, while Harrison showered, I sat at the suite's desk with my laptop. The ship's Wi-Fi was excellent, exactly as I'd confirmed it would be when I'd researched this specific cruise line months ago. A soft knock at the door made me quickly switch screens. It was Christine. "Louisa, dear, the family's meeting for drinks in an hour." She peered past me into the suite. "Is Harrison here?" "Showering. I'll tell him." She lingered in the doorway. "I ran into Damien earlier. Harrison's lawyer friend? He's on board too. Such a coincidence." "Really?" I kept my voice neutral. "How nice." "Yes. They're probably discussing that offshore account situation." Christine's eyes widened slightly as she realized what she'd said. "I mean, the business matter. You know how it is with these financial things." "Of course." I smiled warmly. "Would you like to come in?" "Oh no, I should go change. Emily insists we dress properly for dinner. You did bring something appropriate?" After she left, I pulled out my phone and played back the recording of our conversation. Christine's slip about the offshore account was perfect. Exactly the kind of evidence Wallace had said we needed. I opened my suitcase and reached into the hidden compartment I'd sewn into the lining. The small voice recorder was still there, waiting. Damien liked to drink and talk, especially about his clever legal maneuvers. Now I just needed to get it into his suite. At drinks, Emily held court in the ship's most exclusive bar, introducing Harrison to every wealthy passenger within reach. I sat quietly, watching Damien knock back his third scotch while telling stories about law school. "Remember that professor?" He laughed, slapping Harrison's shoulder. "The one who taught us about hiding assets during divorce? Man, that class was valuable." I excused myself to use the restroom, palming the recorder. Damien's suite number was easy to get. I'd heard Emily arranging adjacent rooms for everyone earlier. The service corridor gave me access to his balcony. 10 seconds later, the recorder was tucked behind his desk, and I was back in the hallway. My phone buzzed again. "Wallace. Got your email. Bank records confirm unusual transfers starting 6 months ago. You were right." I thought back to that day, sitting in our home office, when Harrison's email had accidentally synced to my laptop. Seeing messages pop up from Talia. "Miss you already. Last night was amazing. When can we be together for real?" I'd stayed quiet, started gathering evidence, and watched as Harrison grew more careless. The hotel receipts, the business dinners, the way Talia started showing up at family events, always standing just a little too close to my husband. Back in our suite that night, Harrison was on his phone again. "Talia says there's an emergency at the office. She might need to fly out to meet us at one of the ports. Whatever you think is best, honey." I focused on unpacking my clothes, carefully hanging each piece. You know, you could try being more grateful, he said suddenly. This cruise wasn't cheap. I turned to face him. You're right. Thank you for bringing me on your family's cruise. He missed my emphasis on your, just like he missed me sliding my laptop into the room safe. The one containing screenshots of every email, every bank transfer, every hotel booking he thought he'd deleted. My phone lit up with a message from Amy, a friendly passenger I'd met earlier. Drinks tomorrow? You seem like you could use a friend on this boat. I replied yes as Harrison climbed into bed, his back turned to my side as usual. In the darkness, I touched the thin gold wedding band on my finger. 3 more days until we reached international waters. 3 days until the perfect wife disappeared, leaving only truth in her wake. Good night, Harrison, I whispered. He was already pretending to be asleep. Your mother-in-law is something else, Amy said, stirring her mojito. We sat in a quiet corner of the pool deck, watching Emily hold court with her usual crowd of admirers. I've never seen someone correct a waiter's pronunciation of bruschetta quite so aggressively. I sipped my drink, enjoying the afternoon sun. That's nothing. Wait until someone serves her wine at the wrong temperature. And your husband just lets her treat you like that? Harrison learned from the best. I nodded toward where he sat with Damien, both of them pretending to read financial papers while sneaking glances at their phones. The ship's horn sounded, announcing our approach to the next port. Right on schedule, I spotted Talia walking across the deck, designer luggage in tow. She'd done her homework, wearing the exact shade of blue Emily had praised at last month's charity gala. Who's that? Amy asked, following my gaze. Harrison's assistant, here to handle an emergency at the office. I kept my voice light, even as I watched Talia approach our group. Emily's face lit up. Talia, darling, what a wonderful surprise. Harrison stood quickly, too quickly. Mother, you remember my assistant? The Tokyo deal needed immediate attention. I checked my phone under the table, making sure the camera was recording. Every greeting, every touch that lasted a second too long, every glance between my husband and his mistress, all documented. Louisa, Talia nodded at me, her smile perfect. I hope you don't mind me crashing your anniversary cruise. Duty calls. Of course not, I smiled back. Harrison's work is important. Amy's eyebrows shot up, but she said nothing. That evening, I dressed carefully for the captain's dinner, a black dress that Emily had deemed acceptable last Christmas. Harrison and Talia had disappeared for a business meeting, but I knew they'd show up eventually. They always did, just far enough apart to avoid suspicion. More wine? Christine appeared at my elbow, already tipsy. You seem tense, dear. I'm fine. Just tired from all the excitement. Speaking of excitement, did Harrison tell you about the new accounts? The ones in the Caymans? She giggled. Oops. Probably shouldn't mention those. My phone recorded every word. Mrs. Fernandez? A crew member approached. There's a call for you at the purser's desk. It was Wallace. Everything's in place, he said when I picked up the secure line. We've got enough evidence. Are you ready to proceed? I watched Harrison and Talia slip into the dining room through different doors, precisely 3 minutes apart. Yes, tomorrow night. Your husband's been busy, Wallace continued. 3 new transfers this morning. He really thinks he's covering his tracks. He learned from Damien. I lowered my voice. Speaking of which, check your email. The recording from his suite is enlightening. Back at dinner, Emily was explaining the proper way to address household staff. I sat quietly, playing my role one last time. My phone buzzed with a text from Amy. You okay? You've got that look. What look? I texted back. Like you're watching a house burn down and you're holding matches. I smiled into my wine glass. Close, but not quite. I was holding a blowtorch. Harrison leaned over. Mother wants us all to do the sunset yacht excursion tomorrow. Sounds lovely. Will Talia be joining us for that business meeting too? His jaw tightened. You're being ridiculous. Am I? I touched his arm gently. You have lipstick on your collar. That shade of pink isn't my color. He paled slightly, then recovered. You're imagining things. Again. Of course I am. I stood up. Excuse me. I need some air. On the deck, I finally checked the message I'd been avoiding all day. Wallace had sent a simple text. We've got enough. You ready? I typed back, tomorrow night, the grand dining hall. Make sure everyone's served. Amy found me at the railing. Want to talk about it? Ever watch someone dig their own grave? I asked, staring at the dark water below. The trick is to hand them exactly the shovel they want. That's cryptic. I laughed softly. Tomorrow night, come to dinner in the grand hall. Wear something nice. Why? Because some anniversaries deserve a proper celebration. I straightened my dress. And some families need to learn that just the wife can be the most dangerous person at the table. Below us, I could see Harrison and Talia in a shadowy corner of the lower deck, their silhouettes merging. I took a picture, added it to my evidence folder, and smiled. One more night of being the good wife who follows. Then I'd show them exactly where this path led. The florist arranged white roses in the grand dining hall while I watched from the doorway. Everything had to be perfect for tonight's anniversary celebration. Mrs. Madam? The florist hesitated, clearly unsure how to address me after Emily's complicated instructions. Where would you like the card? I handed her the envelope. Inside was a note I'd spent weeks crafting. To my dearest husband, 7 years of memories, each one a lesson. My phone buzzed. Wallace. Papers are ready. Security's been briefed. Remember, once we start, there's no going back. I touched the small USB drive in my pocket, a complete record of Harrison's betrayal, backed up in triplicate. Good, I typed back. How's the account situation? He tried changing the PIN again this morning, as if that matters now. I smiled, remembering Harrison's smug face when he'd first suggested I let him handle all our finances. A wife shouldn't worry about such things, he'd said, Emily nodding approvingly behind him. Amy appeared beside me, coffee in hand. Fancy setup. Sure you want to do this? Watch this, I said, pulling out my phone. I opened the banking app and tried to log in. Access denied. He locked you out again? Third time this month. I showed her the screen. He thinks he's being clever. What a prince, Amy muttered. You know, I've been meaning to ask. Why go through with this whole dinner charade? Why not just serve him papers quietly? I led her to a quiet corner. Because some lessons need an audience. Emily spent 7 years making sure I had one for every humiliation. Now it's my turn. Speaking of Emily, Amy nodded toward the entrance where my mother-in-law was inspecting the table settings. Louisa, dear, Emily called out, the placement cards are all wrong. The family should be seated together. I walked over, the picture of compliance. Of course, I'll have them fixed. And do make sure Talia is comfortable. She's practically family now. Emily's smile was razor sharp. Though I suppose you've noticed that. I notice everything, Emily. I matched her smile. That's what good wives do, right? She paused, something flickering behind her eyes. But before she could respond, Harrison and Damien entered, deep in conversation. The offshore transfers are solid, Damien was saying. No one can trace. He stopped abruptly, seeing me. Don't mind me, I said sweetly. Just arranging flowers for our anniversary. Harrison barely glanced at the decorations. Make sure Mother approves everything. Oh, I'm sure she'll find tonight very memorable. I touched the USB drive again. Everyone will. Back in our suite, I laid out my outfit for dinner. A red dress Emily had called attention-seeking last year. Perfect for tonight's performance. My laptop chimed with an email from Wallace. Final confirmation needed. Guest list verified. Legal team standing by. I attached the last few photos I'd taken of Harrison and Talia's business meeting in the ship's library. Green light, I replied. Start at 8 p.m. sharp. A knock at the door made me jump. It was Christine, already swaying slightly from afternoon cocktails. Just checking you're wearing something appropriate tonight, she said, peering at my dress. Emily's very particular about special occasions. Oh, I know exactly what this occasion calls for. I helped her steady herself against the door frame. By the way, how's that offshore account working out? The one you mentioned yesterday? Christine's face went pale. That was just... Don't worry, I patted her arm. Everything will make sense at dinner. After she stumbled away, I got a text from Amy. Your mother-in-law just ordered the staff to rearrange the whole seating plan. Again. Let her, I typed back. Everyone will end up exactly where they need to be. I opened my safe one last time, checking the contents. Divorce papers, financial records, photos, emails, and a small recording device. 7 years of evidence, carefully collected while playing the perfect wife. Harrison's voice came from the bathroom. Have you seen my blue tie? The one you wore to meet Talia yesterday? I kept my tone innocent. It's with the dry cleaning. He appeared in the doorway, frowning. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, honey. Just helping you keep track of things. I closed the safe quietly. That's what wives are for, right? My phone lit up with Wallace's final message. Point of no return. Ready? I looked at Harrison, already back on his phone, probably texting Talia about tonight's seating arrangement. 7 years of playing their game, following their rules, swallowing their insults. Ready? I typed back. Time to serve dinner. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the grand dining hall as guests filtered in. Emily presided over the seating arrangements like a general organizing troops, while Harrison and Talia maintained their careful distance. Him at the bar, her chatting with Damien. Everything's ready, Amy whispered as she passed by. I've got my phone ready to record, just like you asked. I nodded, smoothing my red dress. The USB drive felt heavy in my clutch. Ladies and gentlemen, Emily stood tapping her glass. Before we begin this lovely anniversary dinner, I'd like to say a few words about my son and his wife. The pause before wife was deliberate. Classic Emily. 7 years ago, Harrison brought Louisa into our family. And while she's been... Emily's smile tightened. Different from what we expected, she's learned to follow our traditions. Harrison raised his glass, not meeting my eyes. Talia shifted in her seat. So here's to the happy couple, Emily concluded. May they continue to uphold the family name. Actually, I stood slowly. I'd like to say something too. Emily's smile froze. Harrison's head snapped up. 7 years is a long time to learn lessons, I began, reaching for my clutch. About marriage, about family, about loyalty. I pulled out the envelope of divorce papers and slid them across to Harrison. Happy anniversary, darling. The room went silent. Harrison stared at the envelope like it might bite him. Louisa, Emily's voice held a warning. This is hardly the time. Oh, but it is. I pulled out the USB drive. Because I have a gift for you too, Emily. Would someone mind connecting this to the dining room's display screen? Before anyone could stop her, Amy had already plugged it in. The first image appeared. Harrison and Talia entering a hotel, time-stamped last week. What is this? Harrison stood up, his face red. Evidence, I said calmly, of the affair you've been having with your assistant, of the money you've been hiding offshore, of every little scheme you and Damien cooked up to protect your assets. Damien choked on his wine. You can't prove... I pressed play on my phone. His voice filled the room. The offshore accounts are untraceable. Harrison's wife will never see a dime. Christine gasped. Emily's face turned ashen. But wait, I continued. There's more. Emily, Remember all those clerical errors with my name? The forgotten birthdays? The deliberate humiliations? I clicked to the next slide. I kept records of those too. You ungrateful little... Emily started to rise, but Harrison grabbed her arm. Enough, he hissed. We can handle this privately. Like you handled your Tokyo business trips privately? I played another recording, Talia's voice this time, discussing their planned future together. The dining room had become a theater, other passengers openly staring. Someone was filming on their phone. Security, Harrison called out. Remove her. They can't, I smiled. Wallace? Care to explain? My lawyer stepped out from the corner where he'd been waiting. Mr. Harrison, as we're in international waters, and given the evidence of financial fraud we've uncovered, any attempt to remove your wife would be legally unfortunate. You planned this, Emily whispered. All of it. I learned from the best, Mother. I savored the word. You taught me how important appearances are, how the family name must be protected. I clicked to the final slide. Bank statements showing Harrison's hidden accounts. Speaking of protection, the authorities are very interested in these transactions. Damien, I believe your law license might be in jeopardy. Talia stood abruptly. I should go. Stay, I said. You're part of the family now, remember? Emily said so herself. Harrison lunged for the USB drive, but Amy had already removed it. It's too late, I told him. Everything's been copied, distributed, and filed with the relevant authorities. You'll get nothing, he snarled. I made sure. Check your accounts, Wallace suggested mildly. Harrison grabbed his phone, his face draining of color as he tried to log in. What did you do? Frozen, I explained. All of them, even the secret ones. Turns out fraud leaves quite a paper trail. Emily slumped in her chair, her perfect posture finally breaking. The scandal is just beginning. I picked up my clutch. Consider it my parting gift, a lesson in consequences. As I walked toward the door, I paused beside Emily. By the way, my name isn't Harrison's wife. It's Louisa. You might want to remember that. The press certainly will. The last thing I heard was Amy's delighted laugh and the sound of Emily calling for smelling salts. In the hallway, Wallace fell into step beside me. Well done, he said. Where to now? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in 7 years. I hear the ship's ice bar is excellent. Perfect place to celebrate a divorce. Behind us, chaos erupted in the dining room. But I didn't look back. Some fires are meant to burn everything down. The lock clicked satisfyingly as I secured myself in my suite. Outside, I could hear the whispers and footsteps of passengers discussing what they dubbed the Table 9 showdown. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since I'd left the dining room. Harrison, Emily, Christine. Even Talia had tried calling. I silenced them all except for Amy and Wallace. A sharp knock rattled the door. Louisa! Emily's voice was shrill. Open this door immediately. I don't think I will, I called back, pouring myself a glass of champagne I'd ordered earlier. You vindictive little... She rattled the handle. Do you have any idea what you've done? Exactly what you taught me, I replied calmly. Protect yourself at all costs. Isn't that the family motto? Heavy footsteps approached. Harrison. Security's coming to remove you from the ship. Wallace? I said loudly enough to carry through the door. Care to explain maritime law again? My lawyer's voice came from somewhere in the hallway. Any attempt to forcibly remove Mrs. Louisa from her cabin would constitute illegal detainment in international waters. The cruise line is already aware. You planned everything, Harrison's voice cracked slightly. All of it. The cruise, the timing. No, darling. Your mother planned the cruise. I just played the cards she dealt me. I sipped my champagne. By the way, how's Talia handling the spotlight? A new voice joined the chorus. Christine, slurring slightly. Emily's having chest pains. Are you happy now? Chest pains? I laughed. Funny how those happen when accountability shows up. My phone buzzed with a text from Amy. OMG, the video is already trending. Her Table 9 showdown is taking off. I opened social media, and sure enough, shaky footage of my presentation was spreading. The comments were brutal. Rich family gets owned by trophy wife. That mother-in-law had it coming. Another knock, gentler this time. Louisa? It was Damien. Let's discuss this reasonably. There might be a way to keep this quiet. Like the way you kept Harrison's offshore accounts quiet? I played his recorded confession through the door. Or should we discuss your creative accounting advice? You recorded me? His voice rose. That's illegal. Actually, Wallace cut in international waters. Stop saying international waters, Emily shrieked. I heard a commotion outside. Probably ship security arriving to control the scene. My phone lit up with a call from Wallace. Coast Guard's been notified of a potential situation, he said when I answered. They're monitoring to ensure no one tries anything stupid. How are you holding up? Better than Emily, I replied, loud enough to carry. I hear she's having chest pains. A new text from Amy. Holy shit. Some passengers are selling footage to entertainment sites. This is going viral. I walked to the balcony, champagne in hand. Below, I could see passengers gathered, pointing up at the unfolding drama. 7 years of swallowed rage, of perfect smiles and quiet compliance, all exploding in one perfectly orchestrated night. Louisa. Harrison's voice was closer to the door now, softer. Please, we can talk about this. Like we talked about Talia? I asked. Or the money you've been hiding? Or how about all those times your mother erased me while you stood by? Silence. That's what I thought. I took another sip. By the way, Wallace has copies of everything. If anything happens to me, it all goes public. Every email, every photo, every bank transfer. You're bluffing, Emily said, but her voice wavered. I played another recording, Harrison and Talia planning their future together. Am I? More security arrived, dispersing the growing crowd of onlookers. My phone buzzed with news alerts. Cruise ship drama, wealthy family's scandal goes viral, and maritime revenge, wife serves cold justice at sea. Amy knocked on my balcony door. We had connecting rooms, something I'd arranged months ago. I let her in. You're kind of infamous now, she grinned, holding up her phone. Twitter is living for this. Outside, I could still hear Emily demanding action, Harrison trying to damage control, and Damien probably having a career crisis. But in here, watching the sunset over the ocean, I felt nothing but peace. Was it worth it? Amy asked, accepting a glass of champagne. I thought about every fake smile, every subtle dig, every time Harrison chose his mother over me. They spent 7 years teaching me how to destroy someone politely. I raised my glass. I just turned out to be a better student than they expected. A final text from Wallace popped up. Damage is done. No taking it back now. Good, I typed back. Some things shouldn't be taken back. They should be burned down and rebuilt from scratch. Through the door, I heard Emily finally admit defeat. Harrison, call the family lawyer. Now. I smiled. The night was still young, and karma was just getting started. The ship docked under a bright morning sun, but the atmosphere was anything but cheerful. Harrison waited by the gangway, his usually perfect appearance noticeably disheveled. Behind him, Emily sat in a wheelchair, attended by the ship's doctor. Her chest pains had evolved into a convenient crisis. We need to talk, Harrison said, as I approached with my luggage. Privately. Nothing about this is private anymore. I nodded toward the crowd of passengers filming on their phones. How's social media treating you? I can offer a settlement, he lowered his voice. Right now, whatever you want. Wallace appeared at my side. My client isn't interested in negotiations. The prenup Harrison started. Becomes void in cases of infidelity, I finished. You really should have read it more carefully, instead of assuming it expired after 5 years. Emily's wheelchair squeaked as she pushed herself forward. You ungrateful little witch. After everything we gave you— Gave me? I laughed. You mean like the cruise booking without my name? Or the birthday party where you told everyone I wasn't invited? Or maybe you mean giving me a front row seat to your son's affair? A town car pulled up to the curb. Wallace opened the door for me. This isn't over. Harrison grabbed my arm. Actually, it is. I pulled free. Check your office email. Your firm's partners are very interested in those offshore accounts, especially the ones hiding client money. His face went pale. Behind him, Damien was having an intense phone conversation, probably with his ethics board. You've destroyed everything, Emily wheezed dramatically. No, you did that. I turned to face her fully. Every time you undermined me, every time you encouraged Harrison's worst behavior, every time you thought your money made you untouchable, you built this moment yourself. My phone buzzed. Amy had sent a meme made from the dining room footage, my face superimposed over various revenge movie posters. You're trending, she texted. Revenge at sea is going crazy. The media's calling, Harrison said desperately. What am I supposed to tell them? The truth? I suggested. Or is that too foreign a concept? Christine stumbled forward, still drunk from last night. The family name. Our reputation. We'll survive, I said. Or it won't. Either way, not my problem anymore. Wallace guided me toward the car. The papers are being processed. Given the evidence, it should be quick. You can't just walk away, Harrison called after me. I turned back one last time. Watch me. Oh, and Talia? I spotted her trying to hide behind a pillar. The assistant position might be opening up soon. I hear the firm's facing some investigations. In the car, I finally let out the scream I'd been holding in for 7 years. It started as a laugh and ended in tears. Not of sadness, but of release. My phone lit up with notifications. News sites were running the story. Cruise ship revenge, wife exposes family's secrets at sea, and maritime marriage meltdown, social media reacts. Your grandmother's cottage is ready, Wallace said, checking his tablet. Everything's been transferred to your name, completely separate from the family assets. Emily must have loved that, I smiled, remembering how she'd sneered at my grandmother's quaint little house when she'd left it to me. A text from Amy popped up with a video link. Someone had set the dining room scene to dramatic movie music. You're a legend, she wrote. Also, karma's already hitting. Harrison's firm is trending for all the wrong reasons. I watched the city pass by through the car window, feeling lighter with each mile between me and the dock. 7 years of playing the perfect wife, of swallowing insults with a smile, of watching Harrison choose his mother over me again and again. Wallace? I asked. Was it worth it? All of it? He showed me his phone, a news alert about Harrison's law firm launching an internal investigation, another about Damien facing an ethics inquiry, and a society page photo of Emily being helped into an ambulance, her perfect image finally cracked. You tell me, he said. I thought about the dining room, about Emily's face when the evidence appeared on screen, about Harrison realizing his carefully constructed world was burning down. They thought money made them invincible, I said. They never expected the quiet one to be taking notes. My phone buzzed one last time. An email from a publisher. Your story has captured the nation's attention. Would you be interested in telling it in full? I smiled, thinking of all the quiet wives out there, swallowing their pride, playing their roles. Maybe it was time for a different kind of family story. Yes, I typed back. I think it's time everyone learned what happens when you push the good wife too far. Behind us, the cruise ship's horn sounded, a final farewell to the family I just burned to the ground. The cottage windows let in streams of morning light as I set up my new home office. My rescue dog, Max, sprawled across the sun-warmed hardwood floors while I unpacked the last box, the one marked Evidence. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Law firm partners vote to remove Harrison following financial investigation. Karma's not just a concept, I muttered to Max. It's a promise. Amy's call came right on schedule. Have you seen the latest? Emily had to step down from 3 charity boards, and Christine is in rehab. Wallace mentioned that. I settled into my grandmother's old writing desk. How's the internet taking it? Your story's being shared in every women's group. You're like a folk hero for trapped wives everywhere. The doorbell rang. Max barked once, then wagged his tail as I opened the door to find Wallace holding a thick manila envelope. It's done, he said, handing it to me. Divorce finalized. The judge was particularly interested in those offshore account records. I led him to the kitchen, where coffee was already brewing. How bad is it for them? Harrison's firm is imploding. Turns out he wasn't just hiding his own money. Wallace accepted a mug. Damien's been disbarred. And Emily, he smiled. Let's just say the society pages aren't being kind. My laptop chimed with an email notification, another interview request. The publisher wanted the full story, from first meeting Harrison to the final showdown at sea. You should do it. Wallace nodded at my screen. People need to hear how these things happen, how abuse isn't always bruises. It's the quiet cuts, I agreed, the small erosions of dignity, death by 1,000 polite humiliations. My phone lit up with a text from Talia. I'm sorry. I should have known he'd do to me what he did to you. Looks like your replacement's having regrets, Wallace noted. She'll learn. They all do. I opened my laptop and created a new document. The cursor blinked, waiting. Another news alert. Emily hospitalized again following social media backlash. Still playing victim, I muttered. Speaking of playing, Wallace pulled out his tablet. Your new PR firm is taking off. 3 clients already, all wanting to rebuild after toxic relationships. I thought about my grandmother's words before she died. That house they mock? It's your escape hatch, dear. Use it when you're ready. She'd known. She'd seen through Emily's perfect manners and Harrison's charming smile. She'd left me not just a cottage, but a foundation to rebuild on. Max padded over, resting his head on my lap as I began to type. To the woman reading this, wondering if she's crazy for noticing the small cruelties, the subtle erasures, the polite degradations. You're not crazy, you're not oversensitive, and you're not alone. My doorbell rang again. This time it was Amy, holding wine and takeout. Thought you could use dinner and gossip. The cruise line's using your story in their sexual harassment training. I laughed. Really? Apparently you're a case study in how not to treat passengers. She set out containers. Oh, and Harrison's mother? She tried to join the country club in the next town. They turned her down. Money can't buy reputation back, Wallace mused. I raised my wine glass. To karma. To evidence, Wallace countered. To both, Amy finished. And to quiet wives who keep receipts. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Christine. You were right. About everything. I'm getting help. I showed it to Wallace. Think she means it? Does it matter? He gestured at my comfortable new home, my thriving business, my peaceful life. You've already won. Back at my laptop, I continued typing. They think silence means weakness. They think compliance means defeat. But sometimes the quiet ones are just gathering evidence, building strength, waiting for the perfect moment to show them exactly who they underestimated. Amy peered over my shoulder. The book's really happening? People need to know, I said. About the subtle abuse, the financial traps, the family dynamics that enable it all. And the escape routes, Wallace added. I looked around my grandmother's cottage. Now my sanctuary, my fresh start, my victory palace. Max dozed peacefully. The evening sun painted the walls gold, and my phone remained blissfully free of Harrison's name. That's the thing about karma, I typed. It's not about revenge. It's about balance. And sometimes, balance requires you to burn the whole road behind you and build a new one ahead. Amy topped off our glasses. To new roads? I smiled, thinking of Emily's crumbling empire, Harrison's ruined career, and my own unexpected rise from quiet wife to voice of change. To new roads, I agreed, and to the women brave enough to build them.